Hi, welcome to day 3 of our AI agent learning journey. First, let's do a quick recap. In day 2 video, we talked about what no-code platforms are. We chose n8n as our main tool and we looked at how n8n is structured. So now let's see what we are going to learn today. Today we learn what exactly is an API, why APIs are super important, a simple real-world example to understand it, and finally we look at how we can actually make an API call. Okay. Why do we even need APIs? In n8n, we are able to connect apps like Gmail, Slack and many others without writing any code. Do you think is it magic? No, not at all. What's happening in the background is all these tools are talking to each other using APIs. That's why understanding API is very important, especially while we are doing automations or working with agents. So what is an API? API stands for Application Programming Interface, but don't worry about the big name, I'll explain it in a fun and simple way. Imagine we are at a restaurant, we feel like eating paneer curry. Now we won't go into the kitchen directly and make our own curry, right? Instead we just call the waiter and say, hey, one paneer curry please. The waiter takes our order, goes to the kitchen, gives the order and brings the dish back to our table. Now let's map this to the tech world. Here we are the user, API is the waiter, server is the kitchen and data is the dish. So in simple words, API is like a waiter. It takes your request, talks to the server, gets the result and brings it back to you. Now let's look at a simple real life example. Let's say we are building a small travel suggestion app. We want to suggest places to users based on the weather. But our app doesn't know anything about the weather. So what we can do? We connect to the Open Weather API and ask, hey, what's the weather like in Maldives? The API replies it's sunny and 30 degrees Celsius. Now our app takes the weather info, tells the user, go to Maldives, you will enjoy the weather there. Without API, we cannot get the weather info. So in this example, our app is like a travel agent, the weather server is the kitchen, and the API is the messenger that connects them both. Okay, now let's look at how to make an API call. First, we have to find an API that we want to use, like Open Weather API in the previous example. Then we sign up and get an API key. This is like our personal password to identify our app. Next, we send a request to the API with some info, which looks something similar to this format. Now the API gives us the response back, like weather is sunny, temperature is 30 degrees centigrade. And finally, we use that data in our app, automation or workflow, whatever it is. So there is nothing complicated and this is pretty straightforward, right? Now let's look at some real life examples that we'll use in our daily life, but we don't even know how it's working in the background. Let's say when we book our cab or order food, the app shows the location and also gives us the live tracking. So this is getting possible because they are using Google Maps API to fetch the location data. And also we can consider paying with UPI. When we scan a QR code and pay, our payment app is talking to the bank's API, which then talks to UPI API, and everything sync up instantly and the payment goes through. And also while we are signing up in any new website, we can see that continue with Google or sign in with Apple. We can see all the prompts below the email and password. So this uses the Google API to authenticate securely without asking us for a new password. So we cannot see the APIs with our real eyes, but they always work in the background to make things happen. Alright, so today we understood what an API is, saw a couple of easy real-world examples, learned why APIs are important, and also we looked at how an API call actually works. So this is all about day 3. So if you have anything to say or any suggestions for me, please comment down. And if you find this video helpful, please like, share and subscribe. See you on day 4.